So let's move on to your work experience. This is where we're getting into the really good stuff here. Okay, this is where you're going to highlight your experience and make that employer want to talk to you a little bit more. So remember, we're going to use really strong action verbs. You're using keywords that relate to this position, and you found those keywords in the job posting. Use as many of the words from the job posting as you can. If you need a little bit of help figuring out what some strong action verbs are, you can just pop open a Google tab and search for strong action verbs. If you're going into the education field, you might want to Google strong action verbs for teachers. And there will be a whole list of words that teachers might use on their resumes. So, did you mentor anybody? Did you organize anything? Did you instruct anybody in your experience? Okay, so pick some of these words and help boost up the vocabulary on your resume a little bit. If possible, you should try to quantify your experience. That means putting some kind of a number to it. For example, there's a difference between a bullet point that says created a workflow chart and a bullet point that says designed and implemented a workflow procedure that increased office efficiency by 20%. Okay, so first of all, there's a difference between created, the vocabulary created, and the vocabulary designed and implemented. Designed and implemented is a lot stronger, right? And if you can prove that this increased office efficiency by 20%, that's a big deal. So that should be included on your resume. That's very impactful. Of course, you don't want to make things up just to impress a potential employer. If you do that and they hire you based on that accomplishment, it's going to become very clear very quickly that you are not what you represented on your resume. So if you don't have the data to quantify your accomplishments, that's okay. You can still use those strong action verbs. We're only going to include work experience that is relevant to the position that you're seeking. So maybe way back when you were in high school, you had a babysitting job that taught you a lot about interacting with children, and maybe you're really good at getting that toddler to eat his vegetables. But if it's not relevant to the job that you're going for, you don't need to include that. That space can be used for something that's more impactful. Focus on what you're bringing to this particular position. So let's take a look at Wildcat Willie's work experience section here. And please pause and take a moment to come up with some suggestions on how he can improve this. Okay, so what do you notice about Wildcat Willie's work experience? First of all, the thing that stands out to me very, very strongly is that he doesn't even really have any action verbs at all in here. He says, you know, his bullet point under Roquette is invoices, bank statements, and journals. Well, what did he do with those documents? Did he generate invoices? Did he balance bank statements? Did he file things? Did he create journal entries? What did he do? List those action verbs. The other thing that I would recommend, and we didn't really specifically mention it, but this isn't really the place for you to include your references. Your references should always be on a separate page altogether, rather than dispersed throughout your resume. So I'm going to recommend that he takes those out of there as well. In this case, he's probably going for an accounting or finance job. So his experience at Subway is, while it's great experience, and I'm not dissing Subway in any way, this is probably not work experience that's relevant to him getting that job. I would far rather him expand on his bullet points using those strong action verbs and just leaving the Subway experience